Mercedes says they're going to send us the all-new redesigned E350. Here's a picture of it on their website, not a very good photo. They don't have very many, so we'll have to wait till we see it in person. Right now I just want to see the price sheet. Here's the vehicle model. It comes with an inline 6-cylinder. We're getting the 2-liter 4. Here are the specs. The claimed fuel economy. The 5-star safety ratings, which haven't been done yet apparently. It's a Benz. Hey, it's safe. Wow, price has gone up a bit. $1,750 for paint. $29.90 for leather trim. $150 for a console. Okay. Console in silver metallic. Okay. But wait, there's more. I'll just scroll down real quick. I thought we already charged for leather. Why are we being charged again for a leather package? I don't know. And the price keeps raising. And there you go. I did the math for you. That's $21,100 in options. If I'm paying that much for a Benz, I want to be made in Germany. It says here, only 35% of the parts are German. However, it is made in Germany, so that's good enough for me. So here it is, and we have to park under a tree because it's like 115 degrees outside today, and I don't feel like melting. We'll get some better shots later in the sun. Very nice looking vehicle. Supposedly totally redesigned for 2024, if the PR stuff I'm reading is correct. The fancy wheels and tires we paid extra for on that price sheet. Here's the rear view. Well, the first things we do when we get a vehicle is check to see what brand of tires are on here, because a lot of manufacturers are putting cheapy junkers on to save money, but these are Continentals. Top of the line, no problem here. Next thing we do is check to see if there's a spare tire for 80 grand. I would hope so. I think we're going to be dreaming on that. Wow, got a lot of space for storage under here, but nothing for a tire. Just a cheesy tire repair kit. Oh, looks like the battery's down here. And third thing we do, we take the headlights out in the dark and see how they perform and do a night drive. Have 3 bulbs in here. We already did that video, posted on YouTube. We'll have a link for that and in this video, so you won't be missing anything. You got 2 videos for the price of 1 free. When people look at this car and I tell them how much it costs, I say, hey, 80 grand, not bad. It's a Benz. Then when they ask what's under the hood, and I tell them it's a 4-cylinder, they go ballistic. It's like, are you crazy? That much for a 4-cylinder vehicle? I guess if we're old-fashioned, think it's got to have a big engine. I can understand their thinking. That brings us to the E450, which gives us a 3-liter inline 6, putting out 375 horsepower. Fuel economy 22 to 31 mpg. And it adds around $8,000 to the price over $350, if you're interested. That would be my pick for the money. Keep in mind, though, if you ever watch Mercedes drivers, most of them don't drive that quick. They're just going to the country club or the bridge club, something like that. So what do they need the 375 horsepower for? For most Mercedes drivers, this 4-cylinder would do just fine. So I can see the point of offering it, even though the idea of a 4-cylinder and 80 grand car is kind of silly to me. Isn't silly to others. So take your pick. Inside the cabin, we have a decent sized glove box. You have more room if you take the owner's manual out and stick it in the trunk. Might as well put it in the trunk, you're never going to read it, right? We have a very, very large navigation infotainment screen. A nice camera system. And yeah, we do have the 360-degree setup, as we would expect. Very nice. Mercedes is going to the column shifted system here for your transmission gear selection. Actually, this makes sense. It's out of the way, it's easy to use, doesn't take any space. I think we should go to this if we don't want to use push buttons, which I also like. This will do just fine. And I almost forgot, there's also an info screen on the right for your passenger to play with. You can change the gauge cluster arrangement. Here we have the standard classic or the Sport, which is kind of hard to see on our camera because of all the outside glare. Looks better at night. You'll see it if you watch our night video. And by the way, most of this glare we're seeing, you don't see it in person. It just reflects on camera lenses for some reason. And you can also pull up a navigation screen here, so you have one for the left eye and one for the right eye on the other screen. Go figure. And you have the dynamic mode, giving you eco, comfort, sport, or independent settings. Right now, here are the independent settings we have. Come back. All right, not going to show us. Now up here on the dash, we have a spy camera. And the way this works, this takes pictures of you and your passengers when you're driving, and you hook your phone up to it so you make videos and show it on TikTok or YouTube or whatever. I can demonstrate this, but it's rather complicated, so if you don't use TikTok or YouTube, you probably never use this. Then it can be recorded if you hook it up to a device like your phone to keep track of what's going on in the vehicle. That should be a separate video because they could take about a half hour to show all the things this does. So let's move on. And Mercedes has paddle shifters on the steering wheel where they belong. So whether you go in a straight line or taking corners, they're always available to be touched with your fingers. If I were in the Italians, I like to put them on the steering column, which means you can't contact them when you're taking corners, which makes them pretty much useless, but that's just the way it is. Most people put them on the steering wheel, and that's where they belong. I have mixed emotions about the climate system. In a desert climate like this, where it's 115, 117 degrees in the daytime, this doesn't really put out as much cold air as I would like. But if you live in about 90% of other climates, you should be okay. I also notice sometimes you hit the accelerator, it cuts out the air conditioning, causing it to freewheel, supposedly to save gas or improve acceleration. That's not what you want when it's very hot outside. I think it mainly does it on eco mode. It's never done on sport mode, so I'm not sure what you have to do to make sure it never does that, but just keep in mind it might happen, especially having the eco mode, which I never use anyway. You might have noticed on the price sheet we were charged $3,200 extra for the air suspension. I can tell you it's worth every penny. Smooth ride. It's in the standard comfort mode. I like driving in the sport mode to spice things up a bit firmer suspension, firmer steering. And even so, it's still pretty much comfortable unless you're running over potholes the size of garbage cans. Either selection is fine. We're going to take this out to the mountains tonight, take some tight corners, open this baby up and see what it can do. So don't go away. We're going to take this on some tight mountain corners. I did put it in the sport mode so we get a firmer suspension and better steering. And I changed the gauge cluster to the performance mode because it looks cool. Even though this engine's only 2 liters, it does an excellent job of climbing steep grades like this thanks to its turbocharger and a slight hybrid assist. There's no lack of power, and the throttle is very responsive. Actually, it's kind of quick. And the suspension does an excellent job of helping us stick to the road. The ride is very smooth over these potholes I'm seeing and not feeling. The brake pedal is a bit too soft for me, but the braking system itself is very good. Lots of stopping power. No fade. The way Mercedes should be. The simple fact is, most Mercedes owners will never drive like this. Most will be just taking the vehicle to work and back or going to the golf club. So they really don't need the power of the 6-cylinder, so in that case, the 4-cylinder we have here makes pretty much sense. It definitely has more than enough power most people will ever need. But for myself, I want the 6, alright. Now we're up to 7,100 feet, and this motor's pulling strong. Very impressive. While putting this vehicle in the sport mode does provide maximum performance, if you drop back down to the comfort mode, it does almost as well, and a lot more comfortable. Take your pick. Now time to go into town and wrap up this video. This car is quick, but the 4-cylinder sound doesn't exactly spark confidence. Last time I took this on the freeway, got 29 miles to the gallon. Was driving very, very quick. Could have been better if I was driving with the cruise control on. And this far, 214 miles. Combination of highway driving, city driving, and racing way down the mountains. 22.9. Very impressive. So let's do another highway trip. This Benz is a very, very smooth highway cruiser. Oh, that was a little bump, but didn't feel a thing. Excellent air suspension, definitely worth the money. Oh, about 7 miles of city driving and the rest highway driving. 33.3. That's a little more like it. So what's my take on this Mercedes-Benz after a week of driving? I have to say, this is a very nice machine. There's no doubt about that. First class all the way. Quality is great too, because it's made in Germany. On the other hand, it's obvious these high-end German companies are getting crazy with these options and the prices they're charging. Like $3 grand for a leather package, and what do they do? Skin chinchillas and minks? Then $700-800 for a paint job that probably costs them $100 to put on. I mean, what happened? Little elves in the Black Forest hand paint this, or what? But I saw online that Lamborghini charges $14,000 extra for paint, so I guess we're getting a bargain here. In any case, this is a nice car. If you can afford it, go for it. Now coming up is our night driving headlight test video. Here's a link. Just click and watch. You're already here. Why not?